Okay, I did a quick run through of this before, and it turned out to be a longer recording than I like. So I will try to make this a little bit quicker this time around. If it's too long, I apologize. Human perception: dreams, manifestations, and simulations. What is reality? Reality is the state of things as they actually exist rather than as they may appear or might be imagined. In a wider definition, reality includes everything that is and has been, whether or not it is observable or comprehensible. And a still more broad definition includes everything that has existed, exists, or will exist. So, just to touch on this, reality has got sort of a dynamic definition. And I think that's actually the purpose. In a sense, the definition is expanded upon because it's trying to encompass everything without some sort of rebuttal, but at the same time, it's really a subjective concept, and that's what we're going to touch on today. The collective unconscious. The concept that the human mind is born with no innate knowledge of our universe is tabula rasa, or blank slate. So basically, the concept, I believe, was proposed by John Locke, which basically just states that when we're born, there's nothing there, blank slate, and the only thing, well, I'm sorry. So the question would be, what is reality to the mind of the individual, and where does, or will it come from? Perception. The theory goes on to state that anything that we come to know is discovered through perception. So things are as we perceive them. What does the mind of the individual perceive? As stated by Plato, a physical universe, that which is material; a metaphysical universe, that which is immaterial. Now, being that we're discussing what we actually perceive here, both would be through physical senses. The universe can be seen, heard, tasted, smelled, and touched, and through the activity of conscious thought, that which does not physically exist. So though it's widely stated that the answer is both, let's focus on the idea that incoming physical senses are still perceived through the mind. That being said, is there a possibility that the physical universe is a product of the mind alone? Just because the collective conscious agrees on that which is physically perceived does not prove that it is reality or that it is real. So last week we had to watch a video on the cave, so we're all somewhat familiar with it, but I'll try to go over it quickly just to touch on a few things and remind everybody. Plato theorized the possibility that the physically perceived universe could simply be the equivalent of shadows of figures on a wall in which the puppeteers control reality as known to the shackled viewers. Now, it's not necessarily supposed to be a concrete concept. It's an allegory for enlightenment and open-minded thought, meaning if we stay here and just accept our reality, we'll never enlighten ourselves. But if we go out into the blinding sunlight and ask questions and yada yada yada, and then come back and free other prisoners, I wanted to touch on something, or on the concrete concept of it, though, is that it's very possible that our reality is an image on a wall. What if that wall is our minds? And also, to further the story, after you guys do go back over it, or if you do remember it, what are the possible outcomes for one who is freed? I wanted to ask that question because I found an interesting clip from a film, and that's the YouTube clip that I referenced. So if you guys want to take a look at that, remember to ask yourselves, what are the possible outcomes for one who is freed from the cave? And then watch that. The Matrix has you. The Matrix is a great film. Big when it came out. If you guys are not familiar with it, definitely watch it. It's basically a modern day adaptation of Plato's allegory of the cave. So, as a philosophical concept, the allegory of the cave can be, in a sense, resorted to idealism, which idealism is the group of philosophies which assert that reality, or reality as we can know it, is fundamentally mental, mentally constructed, or otherwise immaterial. Immaterial being that which isn't matter, isn't physical, like Plato stated earlier about immaterial. So, is it possible our brain is by far the most complex supercomputer and perceives uh, is what perceives our reality, physical and metaphysical, as the mind's physical counterpart? Um, looks like I touched on the Matrix. Yeah, it is a modern day version of the story of the cave, and claims that reality, as we know it, is a complex computer program simulation called the Matrix, which is fed into our minds. Now, the reason I wanted to throw that in there, I remember now, is basically because of the fact that uh, in my paper, I will touch on this, if not mostly expand on the concept in my term paper. This is an interesting theory that's a more modern one, that is an adaptation of idealism, and I want to go into that later. So just that's why I wanted to bring that up. So I wanted to also in the slideshow here present a couple of different versions of idealism. Subjective idealism is a relationship between experience and the world in which objects are no more than collections or bundles of sense data in the perceiver. The individuals can only know sensations and ideas of objects directly, not abstractions such as matter, and that ideas also depend upon being perceived for their very existence. So basically, what this is stating is that person A and person B can both be perceiving all the same things as they're in agreement with one another, but they're not things. They're just concepts in the mind of sense data. When I pick up a rock and it's supposed to be a 10-pound rock, my brain, being the processing unit, or my mind, I'm sorry, being the thing perceiving this real object, knows to resort back to that sense data, stating, "Hey, this rock is heavy. It's mostly round, but it's got some concave parts to it, convex parts to it." Things like that. The concept is just a build on the idea, a further adaptation that everything is in the mind as far as reality goes. Solipsism. This is one that I thought was actually pretty interesting that I came across. The philosophical idea that only one's own mind is sure to exist. Furthermore, as a metaphysical position, solipsism goes further to the conclusion that the world and other minds do not exist. So, in a nutshell, if you've ever heard somebody say, "This is my world, you all are just living in it," it's that same concept. Basically, since we can only know that our minds, or I'm sorry, since any one individual can only know that that individual's mind does exist and is real, is actually there, then there's no true way to ever be able to prove the other people, the other beings in this reality are actually real things. Who knows? Just an interesting one. So, if any of you have ever seen the movie Vanilla Sky, it's an American remake of the Spanish film Open Your Eyes. The fabric of the main character's reality is falling apart around him as his life collapses. Makes me think of the phrase, "This can't be happening." I thought this would be a good example to reference because this is, in a way, a reference to a type of idealism that is I guess without giving away any spoilers, it's just an adaptation of it. I guess you'd have to see the film, but I'll show you another film here that is actually similar. And the concept all come together to be dreams. I thought it was interesting to discuss the idea that if there's a possibility that we could lay down, go to sleep, and have a dream and have a difficulty differentiating between what was real and what wasn't, then what's to say that when we wake up, that is the real part? Which is one reason why the movie Inception is such an interesting film. If you haven't seen it, you should. It's a film about the power of a simple idea being enough to alter the reality of an individual. Touches on the concept of differentiating between dreams and reality. Now, again, not trying to give any spoilers away here. I don't think this will, but if you do watch it, ask yourself, do you think the spinning top fell in the end? Did Cobb ever make it out of his dreams? was Cobb in a dream the whole time? I guess would be a better way to say it. That's usually the conversation I like having with people when we discuss this film. So, are any of these theories possible? Could the physical universe be only a manifestation of our collective minds? Is reality simply the dream of an individual and all others do not truly exist here? Or perhaps reality is a simulation created to provide our minds with some sort of a physical universe? Similar, I guess, to the concept of the Matrix as to why the machines create the Matrix. I think that's everything. I threw in some quotes here. You guys are welcome to read them. Just fun ones that relate to the concepts. And thanks for watching.